take this. So.
Welcome to the 7th round of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We are just ahead of the qualifying. Let's have a quick chat with Theo Calvé. First of all, congratulations, you won the French Championship. We will show some pictures later. But now let's talk about this qualification here. You need to pass out or drop out the car yesterday due to technical problems, technical failure in race 1 and then race 2 a podium. What was the reason?
Yeah, I had the electronical issue yesterday. The truck literally stopped. We don't know why we didn't solve it. So it was a strange situation for me because I survived on the first lap. I had a lot of battle and I was P7. It was really nice. And then the truck stopped. So it can happen sometime. You know, it's racing. Then the second race I had to start from the last position. So it was a difficult one. But I finished 8th. Honestly, I made a good comeback. I'm really happy. I made the second position in Goodyear Cup, so that's very nice.
Yeah, really good racing yesterday in completely different conditions. I mean, it was sunny. Adam Letsko is a rain expert. How about you?
Yeah, me, you know, I start with those conditions. You know, I don't have a lot of experience under the rain. So now it's raining here. For the first time for me in JARAMA, so it will be like it will be, you know. I will try to make my possible, my best, and try to follow the other one who are good under the rain.
Okay, then good luck. The nose is already on the truck. Good luck, Theo Calvé. Lots of thanks to the team that we could do an interview here. So let me just be rain prepped right now to leave a little bit space for the team here. And yes, we talked about the weather conditions yesterday. They were quite different, as you might notice. But let's have a look at the best of pictures from Saturday. Everything is moving around here. 5.3 tons of gigantic beasts are going ahead of the grid. And we see the trucks are already getting in their positions. You need a lot of experience, as Theo Calvé mentioned, for example, driving in these conditions, and better to start early. Yesterday, due to sunny conditions, we were able to visit the stands. And there we met a fine lad, a young kiddo, so charming, Efren. And you're going to see him right now, and the other fans. It was sunny yesterday, wasn't it? So the new generation is on board. Efren, ¿cuántos años tiene? Cinco. He's 5 years old. And this is your truck. ¿Está tu camión?
Sí,
¿Ya conduces?
sí,
He's driving this truck.
es eléctrico.
Ah, this is an electric truck, so he's right up for the future. We really appreciate that. Gracias. Es tu aplauso, es tu aplauso. Clear the youngest driver here at JARAMA. We are ahead of the qualification on this Sunday here at JARAMA Rathe. So welcome to our commentators, Joachim Eberts and Jack Werrell. I hope you got some raincoats as well. I know you are inside, aren't you?
Much, Christina. Yes, indeed, I am inside, and I've got to say, I'd rather stay here. It looks very, very wet there at JARAMA. So, hello everybody, welcome back to the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We are, of course, here for the second day of action in JARAMA, just outside of San Sebastián de los Reyes, just north of Madrid here in Spain. And yesterday, as Christina mentioned, it was very sunny, very dry, and today it's pretty much the opposite, around about 15 degrees centigrade local temperature, or 59 degrees Fahrenheit, with 100% precipitation. So it is a very, very wet day. I'm sure the first lap or first couple of laps will be under yellow flag conditions, just to allow the drivers to get somewhat up to racing speed, make sure the trucks are up to temperature, of course, to help keep the racing nice and safe. And it also allows the drivers to learn these wet conditions, a very old school circuit, as we heard yesterday from a few of the drivers. Norbert Kish alluding to just how violent it is on those tyres. Very easy just to wear through them over the length of a race. So tyre management was an issue yesterday. Today, I'm not 100% sure it will be just as bad, because of course, while it's the same circuit, the same surface, it's not gone anywhere, and it's going to be even easier to spin up those rear tyres. Of course, you've got that blanket of water just lining the circuit, so it could be slightly easier to manage those tyres. Somebody you have to keep an eye out for today, Adam Lachko. He's so quick in the wet. He got a win at Zolder because of the wet conditions. He said that he's been quick in the wet ever since he started karting. So with it being wet here, I'm sure he's more than happy to go out for the second qualifying session this weekend. Of course, yesterday we saw the first of the qualifying and Superpole sessions, as well as two brilliant races. Norbert Kish won race 1, and it was Andre Curzin, the number 11 machine. You can see it in the background there, the white and yellow Iveco, won the second race of the day, the 18th race of the season, ahead of Steffi Helm in second place after a brilliant defensive drive, managing to fend off the home favourite Antonio Albertetti. It'll be interesting to see how Antonio gets on today. Of course, the fans are still here with ponchos and umbrellas dubiously applied. Very supportive fans here in Spain. I've got to say, some of the best fans we've seen all season, rain or shine. They do show up, and they do make a lot of noise as well here at JARAMA. So qualifying and Superpole 2 on the way. Teo Calvé and Anthony Janiak working their way towards the grid. There is Teo just taking to the pit lane, and then in a few moments time we will of course have the green light shown at the end of the pit lane, and that will allow the drivers to head out onto the circuit. There is Stefan Faas. He had a busy day yesterday in qualifying. Obviously, he had that windscreen break, so he managed to get the windscreen fixed ahead of the first race of the day. And then he was busy in every single race, battling pretty much everybody he could find. Jose Rodriguez was one of them, alongside René Reynard before an early retirement, and Jamie Anderson with Shane Brereton sandwiching Stefan Faas throughout that race as well. So lots of action still to come here in Spain. JARAMA, one of those unique circuits, you might not have heard of it, and the younger generations will undoubtedly probably not have heard of it either. To give you a bit of insight into the circuit, 3.85 kilometres or 2.39 miles. It's hosted 11 Formula One Grand Prix between the years of 1967 and on and off right the way up until 1981. Plays host to the Superbike World Championship and the World Touring Car Championship, and of course we are here this weekend for the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. So lots of motorsport pedigree. Drivers alluding to the curbs as well, somewhat old-fashioned curbs, rather flat. You can use them all, but it's difficult to swap between the FIA standardised curbs, the quite tall red and white ones, to the slightly flatter, older curbs in use here at JARAMA. All trucks will be running on a bio HVO diesel. They have done all season and will continue to into the future. It's 100% renewable, which is, of course, great to hear, pushing for that greener side of motorsport. And that will help in the efforts of the FIA ETRC's goal by 2038 to have net zero, so zero carbon emissions for a racing weekend. So we've got lots planned to make sure motorsport can stay green and look after the environment whilst we do it. There is René Reynard, somewhat battle-scarred, duct tape and zip ties applied throughout. Still lots of rubber marks from a little bit of trading paint throughout the race. And I do think the green flag has been shown at the end of the pit lane. Yes, it has. Riding on board with Jamie Anderson in the number 33 MAN. It's got Heinrich Clemens Hecker just in front. And for the first time today, the FIA ETRC grid will take to the circuit. Earlier on this morning, we had the second free practice for the Spanish Truck Racing Championship, so a dry line I'm sure will have appeared then, but with the breakages between sessions, it means that the dry line will have dissipated. A little bit of rubber laid down, but there are different lines you take in the wet. Of course, in the dry, you follow that rubbered line because the tyre can find purchase and almost mould into that rubber and use that as the grip. But in the wet, you want to stay around the outside, avoid the curves because they can be very, very slippy, and just stay off that rubbered line because it will be so, so slick. But I'm sure in 5.3 tonnes worth of truck, I don't think it will make that much of a difference what surface you're on. Either way, they are incredibly heavy. So just heading out through the tail end of the circuit, through Bagasso, over Ascari, the quick right-left, and then it's on the brakes in towards Portago. Norbert Kiesche really the man to beat at the moment, still up at the top of the standings. Now has 9 wins to his name, I think 7 poles as well, including yesterday. You can see the oversteer creeping in. Adam Lachko sideways on the exit of Portago. So too is Andre Kurzim. It's just drivers finding that limit, and then they can stay just below it. Elia Koloc out on circuit as well. So Bagheera having 2 retirements yesterday in race 1. They've managed to get both trucks out for race 2 and presumably solved and managed to mitigate any further issues ahead of today's races. But it's all down to qualifying now. If you are new to the championship, qualifying is for all of the trucks, so all trucks can take to the circuit, but then the top 10 from qualifying go into what is called a super pole session. So then the top 10 can vie over their position. So you might finish on pole position in qualifying, but of course when it comes down to super pole, you could find yourself down in 7th or 8th place. So it's all about managing the tyres and working the setup around the conditions, but even more so to your liking, because if you lose a couple of tenths in these trucks, it really can accelerate the truck backwards down the grid. Norbert Kiesche abandoning his first lap. Sacha Lenz more than happy to take the reins up at the head of affairs. There goes Andre Kurzim and Steffi Halm. Of course, race 2 winner from yesterday. Sacha Lenz running very wide on the exit of Nuvoladi. And then it's down through the quick right-hander of Bazi and then through Le Mans. Drivers just finding the lines that work for them. You can see a much wider line through there from everybody, avoiding that curve on the exit. Norbert Kiesche sideways once again, putting a little bit of temperature into those tyres. And it's Adam Lachko, Antonio Albacete and Jochen Hahn. And in around about a minute and a half time, you will start to see a few drivers post their representative times. Got to keep an eye on Adam Lachko though. We know he is so quick in the wet. It's going to be a tricky circuit in the wet, because it's tricky to overtake no matter what. But in the wet, and obviously different conditions from yesterday, I'd imagine it really is a challenge. You can see Sacha Lenz taking the wide line in, Norbert Kiesche and Adam Lachko all taking the shallow line in. So Sacha clearly favouring a different line. Then you see Andre Kurzim a wide entry, Steffi Halm with a slightly more shallow entry. So there's so many differing lines. So we could see a few overtakes just from those lines, whether it be a door left open early on and somebody just slightly outbrakes themselves, squeezes their way into that gap and then works forward. Sacha Lenz up the road he goes, down, up towards Monza, I should say. And he will have set his first somewhat representative time. Norbert Kish obviously deciding to abandon this lap at the start, but next lap, I'm assuming he will go back on pace and try and take the reins up on provisional pole position. Adam Lachko goes by now. We know how quick he is in the wet. We can't escape it, so we'll have to keep an eye on Adam as the session goes on. 2 minute 11.421 set for Sacha Lenz. And Adam Lachko, as we said, very quick in the wet, goes straight to provisional pole. 2 minute 9.382. And then only half a tenth behind is Antonio Albertetti, who's in the 23 MAN, just sat behind, going through shot now. Then it's Jochen Hahn. Andre Kurzim has crossed the line as well. So we're getting more and more drivers just post their times up on the boards. We'll have to keep an eye on Norbert Kish just to see how he's getting on in these conditions. It looks like he hasn't abandoned this lap and he is now chasing down Sacha Lenz. Adam Lachko reeling in the pair of them up the road. Antonio Albertetti very, very quick in towards Farina. Did get it slowed down, but you can see how wide he is on the exit. Might have lost a little bit of traction. Sacha Lenz pulling over towards the right-hand side, letting the trucks go. Of course, he's already done one flying lap, so he wants to get everything cooled down ahead of the next one. There goes Norbert Kish through Ascari. And in towards Portago. Hugging that curb, not touching it, however, because it will unsettle the truck. And then, of course, it's a very slippery surface, so it will almost promote understeer and oversteer all at the same time. Still over half the qualifying session remaining, so that's the beauty of this qualifying session. You get 20 minutes to post your representative times. In Superpole, you only get 10, so you're lucky if you get 3 flying laps. Starting up at the front will really benefit your Superpole session. They will leave the pit lane in the order that they finished in qualifying, all the top 10, so it's all down to setting up your first qualifying for a potential second qualifying session. Through the final corner will come Norbert Kish. Visually has opened that gap to Adam Lachko. I think Adam has just backed off a little bit, ready for this next lap that he's going on to now. Antonio Albertetti in tow. What can Norbert Kish do? At the moment he's right the way down at the bottom, but of course the first lap was abandoned, and there you go. Yes, he has improved and he's put himself on provisional pole position. A 2 minute 8.787 from Norbert Kish. Antonio Albertetti improves, promotes himself up into provisional P2, only 12 thousandths away from Norbert Kish. So home favourite Antonio Albertetti seems to be very good in the wet as well, only being 12 thousandths away from our championship leader. Adam Lachko didn't improve last time through, but we knew he was rather slow. There goes Jochen Hahn, currently sat in 4th place, 2 minute 9.998 for him. Just behind is the second of the Team Hahn trucks, that's Steffi Hahn. A 2 minute 10.873 posted for herself. Once again, it's somewhat of a tailback. Sacha Lenz leading that little train of trucks. Antonio Albertetti moving his way out of the way, allowing Adam Lachko to go through. So too does Andre Kurzim. And still with over half the session remaining, we could see yet further improvements from our drivers. Norbert Kish allowing Sacha Lenz by. Adam Lachko allowing Steffi Hahn to get by. And then I think Adam and potentially Antonio Albertetti as well will either go on to another flying lap or return to the pit lane, do a few tweaks to pressures and retake to the circuit. You can see the steam billowing out of those big front brakes. Nothing to worry about, of course. It's just those brakes, they've got so much to stand up against. They need not only the assistance of air cooling but water cooling as well, so the drivers can control when the brakes get their water cooling. There is Shane Brereton. Of course, confidence knocked, we heard, due to the incident yesterday in free practice, but the team have done a sterling job to get that truck prepared. And yesterday, of course, winning a Goodyear Cup, so he won the Chrome Class yesterday in race 2. There is Antonio Albertetti. Will he return to the pit lane this time by, or will he go for another lap? He's got plenty of time to do so if he wants it. Adam Lachko through the final corner, fairly slow. So too is Norbert Kish. I think we are going to see the drivers pulling towards the pit lane. Jamie Anderson looks like he's on a flying lap, so we could see an improvement from Anderson. He's currently down in 13th place, a 2-minute 12.481 to beat if he wants to improve upon his time. If he wants to improve upon his place, he needs to beat a 2-minute 12.36. So very little time to find if he needs it. Crosses the line now. Does he improve? I don't think he does. Sacha Lenz improves, however. Sacha goes up into 5th place, a 2-minute 10.326 from himself. We're seeing improvements all the way around. Elia Koloch right the way up into P5 as well. 2-minute 10.313 from herself. So Elia Koloch really quick in the wet as well. Teo Calvé currently down in 8th place in the 3rd of the Megara Freightliners. All of them visually look very similar. If you want to pick between them, Elia Koloch is in the Freightliner with red headlight covers, wing mirrors and 5th wheel. Adam Lachko all the same but in Dayglow yellow, and Teo Calvé all the same but in dark blue. That is how you can pick between the 3 Megara Freightliners we have out on show today. There is Jose Rodriguez with Anthony Janiak in tow. Just seeing drivers work their way around, trying to find a little bit of time here and there. It's so difficult in the wet because you don't really have anything to really go by, because of course it's been dry running all weekend. So you've just got to drive as quick as you can and hope that that is close enough towards the top end that you will work your way in towards the Super Pole session. Andre Kurzim currently the driver at risk in 10th place. Anderson's still down in 14th, so if he does improve, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in towards that Super Pole session. He's been quick throughout the whole season. It's Jamie Anderson. There is Jose Rodriguez, in towards Bugatti he goes. Jamie Anderson just up the road, some 2.5 seconds away from our provisional pole time as it stands. Norbert Kish, no surprise, still up at the top, but Antonio Albuquerque within touching distance, 12,000ths of a second, very little to pick between them. Anderson punching the throttle on the exit of Monza, heading on towards another flying lap, I would presume. There goes Jose Rodriguez onto another flying lap as well. We will see whether he can improve upon his time, a 2-minute 11.202 from himself. Jamie Anderson does improve his time and position, a 2-minute 12.430. So too does Rodriguez. He punches Anthony Janiak out of that Super Pole session, provisionally of course. So now Rodriguez has taken 10th place at 2-minute 10.922. There's very little to pick between the mid-pack as per always. If you want to watch really close racing, first of all come to truck racing, it's absolutely brilliant, and then second of all find yourself a mid-pack battle, because it will not get any closer than that. We saw the proof yesterday with what I think it was 7 trucks battling over first place, and then further back you've still got 4 trucks nose to tail as well, so the entire grid was all sparring away. There is Elia Koloch. You can see the truck dancing around on the brakes as she desperately tries to get it slowed down. Through Nuvolari, and once again back on the power for the quick right-hander of Varzi, and then hard on the brakes for Le Mans. So tricky these conditions, and of course the rooster tails at the start of the first race will be horrific. I'm sure that the visibility for the back row of the grid will be somewhat non-existent. Of course all these trucks have to be fitted with these rain lights, and they have to be fitted with the windscreen wipers and washers, not only the wipers, but they have to be fitted with washers as well. And the rain lights, of course, there to carve their way through the mist to allow a bit more visibility from the trucks behind to see the trucks in front, and the brake lights as well, they have to be at least 90 lumens, so not exactly the darkest things in the world, well and truly visible. But when the rain is this thick and you've got big old tyres on the back of these trucks, I can imagine the rooster tails will be very difficult to see through at the start of the race, so that's something drivers have got to fight for as well. It's not only fighting for position, it's fighting for visibility at the start of the race. Sacha Lenz goes to the top of the times, a 2-minute 8.697, 900ths clear of Norbert Kish. So the top 3 at the moment only separated by 1/10 of a second. That's got to be one of the smallest margins we've seen throughout the whole season. There is Stefan Fast working his way through Farina. So too is Sasha Lenz, of course, our now new provisional pole sitter. Of course, if we were to end the session here, he would enter Super Pole in provisional P1. But if Norbert Kish found a 10th of a second in Super Pole, there you go. And what has happened to Jose Rodriguez? I'm trying to figure out where that is. I think that's the exit of turn 1 potentially. We saw him off there yesterday in race 1, and he does retake to the circuit. It does look like, yeah, that was the exit of turn 1. Just going slightly too hot in there. Couldn't get the truck slowed down. No harm caused, and he will continue on without too much of an issue. 5 minutes of the session remaining now. Sasha Lenz just flashing his indicators, letting Jochen Hahn know, pulling over towards the right hand side. He isn't on a flying lap, so feel free to go by. You can see the internal furniture of Jarama. Jarama is one of those circuits that doesn't just provide on-track action, there's lots of off-track action to take in as well. They do lots of experiences. They do a Ferrari experience, they do I think it's Experience Royale, in which you can just enjoy a little kick car, and they've got a kart track as well. I'm sure kart track probably isn't the most popular today with the conditions, but there's still lots to do here at Jarama, and with the crowd still coming in force no matter what the weather, there's definitely potential there for them to obviously watch some brilliant truck racing and then wander into the paddock and pick up a little bit more experience, whether it be behind the wheel of a car or walking through the paddock. It's such a public area here at the FIA ETRC, so you can wander through the paddock and get up close and personal with these trucks and your drivers. And obviously we saw yesterday Norbert Kish was somewhat surprised, because normally he is the man drawing all the attention, but Antonio Albufetti, the support from his home crowd is absolutely terrific. There is Stefan Faas, just working his way through Le Mans now. And then round Farina, just trying to find the limit of that truck. A big flick of oversteer. You can see the front axle working away, desperately trying to keep that rear axle in tow and pointing the right direction. Slightly wide on the exit there from Andre Kurzim. Finding that curb, definitely something you need to avoid. But we'll see if we've had any further improvements. Not as yet, not since Sasha Lenz took pole position. Sasha Lenz and Norbert Kish in the pit lane, so too is Adam Lachko and Jochen Hahn. Anthony Janiek in the pit lane as well, so I don't think he will be able to respond to Jose Rodriguez, who has demoted him out of that Super Pole session. And with just over 2.5 minutes of the session remaining, you could leave the pit lane now, but it would have to be a very quick outlap to get back round just to start another flying lap as well, and by that time you're running the risk of overheating your truck. There is Stefan Faas. Up towards Monza he will go. Quite a tricky, deceptive double right-hander. Gets the truck set up once again for the final corner. It looks like a fairly quick lap this time through, and he does have enough time if he wants to go for another well and truly. So at the moment he's currently in provisional P14, a 2 minute 12.346 to beat if he wants to improve upon his time. And he doesn't. He's around about half a second slower than his previous fastest time. Andre Kurzim coming towards the line, and he doesn't improve either. He's around about 4 tenths away from the fastest lap time he's done so far today. Stefan Faas desperately trying to get the truck slowed down. Nuvolari, the little left kink before we arrive at Fangio at turn 1. And then it's Fazi, quick right-hander, dab of brakes, allow the truck to settle into that corner before you get hard on the brakes once again for Le Mans. Quite a tricky corner as well. It's a very long, tight on the entry, tight on the exit, but halfway through it shallows out a little bit. You can use the curb in the dry, you avoid it in the wet. Stefan Faas sideways on the exit. Andre Kurzim follows suit. Just over a minute of his qualifying session now, so any final improvements need to come now. René Reynard crosses the line in his truck. Of course, that Iveco yesterday retired in race 2 after what was quite a heavy hit into the barrier, so hopefully they've managed to get that truck fully repaired ahead of today's racing. Jose Rodriguez was just working his way through turn 1. There is Anthony Janiek. Luke Garrett just up the road. Luke Garrett struggling with these conditions by the look of it. So too is Heinrich Clemens-Hecker down in 17th place, but of course the race is still to come, and that's when everybody's starting on a level playing field, really. So across the line comes Anthony Janiak. Does he improve upon his time? No, I think that was more or less an out lap. He does have time to go on to another lap, so of course he did get demoted out of that Superpole top 10, and having crossed the line with plenty of time still to go in this session, I think it was around about 20 seconds, so he's well and truly safe to do another lap, but he will be pushing extremely hard to try and get back into that top 10. There goes Luke Garrett in towards Le Mans. They both go sideways on the exit of Varzy. Was Anthony Janiak really pushing the limits, trying to extract every ounce of performance he can out of that MAN. Number 17 machine, so that is Shane Brereton, has a deletion of lap time due to contact with a penalty marker. Checkered flag flies now, so anybody crossing the line won't be able to go on towards another flying lap. Anybody that started one before the final second of the session will be able to continue on. Luke Garrett over Ascari he goes. Anthony Janiak still pushing forward now. You can tell by the body language of that truck he's pushing it around, in danger of maybe overdriving, but the time is definitely there. We've seen him in the top 10. He's desperate to try and improve, and we could potentially see improvements up and down the order in these closing stages of the second qualifying session of the weekend. There is Anthony Janiak in towards Bugatti he goes. To work his way through, try not to get held up by Luke Garrett. Visually you can see he's been gaining time on the truck in front. And up the hill we go, a slight flick of oversteer once again on that painted surface, similar to a curb. There's just no purchase for the tyre. And then through the penultimate corner we go, through the final corner, and Anthony Janiak, can he improve upon his time? This is the last chance he will have in this qualifying session. So coming towards the line now, Anthony Janiak currently in 11th place. Can he improve? No, he can't. He's some, well, I think 1 3/4 seconds away from any sort of improvement. But of course, that does mean without anybody else starting to push forward, and it does mean our Superpole top 10 are safe. So drivers that won't make it through to Superpole are the man we're looking at now. Anthony Janiak, Shane Brereton, Jamie Anderson, Stefan Fast, René Reynard, Luke Garrett and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker all won't make it through to Superpole, but somebody that will for the first time in her career is Elia Koloc. Let's go down for an interview with her now.
Yes, of course, and we're going to talk to Elia Koloc. Congratulations, your first P8. You're running for Superpole. How great is that?
I'm very happy I made it to Superpole. Apparently, rain is one of my good places to be, so I'm very happy and I'm looking forward for Superpole.
And the condition is raining and the truck was dancing somehow if you're trying to brake. How are the conditions for you?
Well, obviously it's very slippery, but I managed well, and yeah.
Yeah, you did, absolutely. Good luck for Superpole. Congratulations. Isn't that a great story to tell? Theo Calvé is one position ahead of the two of them driving for the Goodyear Cup.
Yeah, indeed, and that is 3 Bagheera Racing Freightliners all in top 10. So Adam Lachko finished 4th ahead of Theo Calvé, and then it was Elia Koloc in 8th place. So once again, Bagheera with a very strong outing. We knew Lachko was quick in the wet. Not so sure about Elia Koloc, but very well done to herself. Really has shown that JARAMA in the rain and in the wet is definitely one of her preferred conditions. Theo Calvé in 7th place. So still time to find for Theo, of course, the newly crowned French truck racing champion. And a great guy is Theo. He does work incredibly hard. He doesn't solely focus on truck racing. He also is still going through school back at Toulouse. And just after Zolder, literally as we finished on Sunday, he had an early flight Monday morning to get back to Toulouse to complete one of the biggest exams he's ever done. And from what I've heard, they all went well. So Theo very committed not only to truck racing, but to his schooling as well. He's also a very nice guy. is Teo. It'd be nice to hear from Antonio Albacete once again today, because of course he is the host. He is the home hero. We need to ask him what is going on with this weather. We were expecting, the cameraman clearly agreeing with me, shaking the camera around. Yeah, Antonio Albacete. Obviously, he is our host, the local hero. We need to know what has gone on with this weather, because he should be providing us with some beautiful sunny conditions. There is the damaged track limits marker on the exit of the final corner. So I think that was either where Shane Brereton connected with that, or maybe another driver just collected it on their way through. In a few moments' time, the pit lane will be under green flag conditions, and Sacha Lenz will be able to lead the top 10 out for the second Super Bowl session of the weekend. Our brilliant, hard-working marshals getting that track limits marker free of the earth before applying another one. Of course, they need to make sure it's done safely, because motorsport has to put safety as its #1 priority. Pit exit will be open in 1 minute's time. So the marker placed in, marshals will retreat to the safety behind the tyre wall and the Armco barrier, and then it's just the short wait until we get to go green once again here in the Super Bowl session. So it will be 10 seconds away, and the green flag will be waved. The green lights will turn on at the end of the pit lane, and Sacha Lenz will lead the Super Bowl session out onto the circuit. There we go, doors slammed shut, green flags are waved, and Sacha Lenz leads everybody onto the circuit for the second time today, followed by Norbert Kish. Then it's Antonio Albacete and Adam Lachko. So riding on board with Norbert Kish, you can hear the revs spiking in the wet. It's so difficult to get the rear tyres gripping in these conditions. Of course, lots of torque indeed. There's 5,500 Newton meters, or 4,050 pound-foot worth of torque being emitted from these 13-litre single-turbo diesel engines. So there's obviously lots of torque being produced, and in the dry it's difficult to put it all down at once. In the wet, I can imagine it's so difficult. As everybody works their way through Sector 1, they're just making sure that they don't push too hard on these opening laps, because of course, while it is wet conditions, you want to get some temperature into the trucks, but if you build that temperature too quickly, you are still at risk of maybe blistering a tyre. You'll almost boil the outside while the inside is still very cold. Of course, with the rims being, I believe, is steel, the inside of the tyre will be much colder than the outside of the tyre. So you've got to once again bear that in mind with tyre management as well. There goes Teo Calveia, Leo Koloch for the first time in a Super Bowl session, and of course finishing in 8th place in qualifying. As more experience comes through, we could potentially see her work her way up towards the top 6. And of course, if she does finish better than 6th in any Super Bowl session this season, that will make her eligible for the Titan class next season if she remains with us. So she's got to be careful here. She might end up right up there with the big guns, and of course more than deserving after what was a brilliant qualifying session. We've still got a Super Bowl to go, so almost already a quarter of a way through the session, and we've not even got on towards our flying lap yet from any of the drivers. We're just waiting for Sacha Lenz to come through the final corner, and then we will see our drivers go on towards their first flying laps. There is Sacha Lenz, followed then by Norbert Kish, and Antonio Albacete crosses the line as well, all heading on towards their first flying laps. You can just about pick out Adam Lachko in the background, and of course that's only with 3 trucks past the camera, and you're already struggling to look through the mist. So with 17 trucks taking to the grid for race 1, we are going to see a few drivers with very little visibility. Of course, if you are starting at the very tail end, you've got all of that spray to work through. While it will keep your engine and your brakes, I'm sure, nice and cool, it will make it very difficult to slow down and pick out those markers. So just as the session continues to tick over, we're just waiting for the drivers to complete their first flying laps once again, just to get a little insight into how the various drivers can deal with these wet conditions. In towards Bugatti goes Sacha Lenz. We know Sacha's very quick off the start, as we heard that yesterday from Norbert Kies. You can see the truck jumping around as he applies the brakes, and the balance of the truck sways towards the front, already 3.1 tons over that front axle. So adding even more as soon as you apply the brakes. You can see the rooster tail's getting even worse. So the rain definitely not subsiding. Through the penultimate corner comes Sacha Lenz. And it'll be in towards the final corner, and we'll see how quick he has managed to get that MAN around the JARAMA circuit. So crossing the line now, and he does a 2-minute 9.921. Norbert Kies goes and betters it by 0.3 of a second, a 2-minute 8.318, and then it's Albacete improving as well, managing to put Sacha Lenz even further and even further down the grid. So at the moment it's Kies leading Albacete, then it's Adam Lachko, Jochen Hahn, then we get back to Sacha Lenz, and it's Steffi Helm and Teo Calvet. Elia Koloc on her way to the line, posting a 2-minute 11.324. Now just waiting for the drivers once again either to go straight onto another flying lap or once again re-evaluate the conditions before heading back out and pushing forward. So at the moment Norbert Kies still up at the head of affairs. A 2-minute 8.318 is definitely not hanging around. It's dangerously close to a 2-minute 7 for Norbert. Of course, as the dry line only appears more and more prominent as the session wears on, the grip will slowly start to get better and better as well. Adam Lachko once again consistently up in towards that top 5. So doing very well in regards to the championship, currently sat there in 3rd place. He entered the round 3 points behind Sacha Lenz, but of course after yesterday's action Sacha will have opened that gap up a little bit more. Antonio Albacete will have also closed the gap to Adam Lachko up the road, so the championship is getting closer. More and more racing we get in, so I think it's only going to be very much decided after the final race of the season. But heading on to what I think will be another flying lap in a few moments' time. Antonio Albacete really pushing forward, potentially doing 2 back-to-back flying laps. There goes Sacha Lenz, followed by Norbert Kies and Antonio Albacete. Through the final corner they go. Are we going to see improvements from any of them? Sacha Lenz crosses the line. A 2-minute 9.369 is, I think, an improvement of his time, but not an improvement on his position. And Norbert Kies doesn't improve. Antonio Albacete does improve, takes a 10th out of the provisional pole time from Norbert Kies, but it isn't enough to really worry the Hungarian. Still a 1/4 of a second separating himself to Albacete behind. So just waiting for the drivers to head out once again with only 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the session remaining. They can use this lap to cool down, and then once again in the final closing seconds of the session head out and really throw everything at it. We've seen an improvement from Andre Kurzim, a 2-minute 10.904 being posted. That promotes him from 10th up to 8th place. At the moment the fastest Chrome driver is Teo Calvet in 7th, and it's Rodriguez in 9th and Elia Koloc in 10th. Elia struggling to hook the truck up in this Super Bowl session. Of course, it's a daunting place to be, having never done it before. I'd imagine there's a lot of pressure to make sure you get it right. So as our lead trio work their way through Bordago, just working away at those tyres, making sure they don't overheat, making sure they don't cool down too much, putting some work into the brakes, making sure they're within their optimum window. ahead of what I do believe will be 3 more flying laps on the way. Norbert Kish, while he is a quarter of a second clear of Antonio Albacete, you can never be too safe. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go on towards another flying lap. Antonio Albacete, I'm sure, will be destined for another as well. So too is Sacha Lenz, currently down in 5th place, a second away from Norbert Kish. So there's definitely time there. Norby throwing the truck in towards the right-hander at Tunnel. And all 3 drivers heading on towards what will be another flying lap in the final minute of this session. So crossing the line and getting ready to really get every little bit of performance out of these trucks. So MAN, being all 3, of course, MAN for Sacha Lenz, Norbert Kish and Antonio Albacete. So somewhat learning off each other, they're all using very similar equipment. So they'll be able to watch each other, see their potential differing lines, and then attempt them on another lap. So it's going to be very helpful for Albacete because he's got 2 very similar trucks just up the road that he can watch and maybe learn a little bit from. Of course, the time is there. Last time through, he closed the gap even more with a 2 minutes 8.408, only 0.09 of a second away from Norbert Kish. So he's really closing up. It was the same in qualifying 2, and now we're in Super Pole 2. There's definitely time there. Teo Calvet in the gravel, and that means all of those drivers that were heading onto a lap will potentially have to abandon it depending on where he is. It looks like that is the exit of turn 1. He's managed to, I think, lock up or find a little bit of curb, and it's just locked all the brakes up and straight on in towards the gravel, if that is turn 1, I believe. So we'll try and see if we do have another camera angle of that, but Teo in the gravel, and he won't be able to improve. Yes, it is yellows at turn 1. So anybody that wanted to get another lap in, if they just crossed the line before the checkered flag, won't be able to improve, because of course they have to slow down. And Calvet is definitely stuck in that gravel, so he won't be able to return and try and complete another lap. 1, because we ran out of time, and 2, because he is left stranded in that gravel. Norbert Kish still chasing down Sacha Lenz in the final stages of this qualifying session. Will we see improvements for any of them? Albacete so close, knocking on the door of provision of pole, but I don't think it's going to happen because he has lost a little bit of time this time through. Norbert Kish doesn't improve. Does Albacete improve as he crosses the line now? No, he does not, and we don't see an improvement from Sacha Lenz either. So the top 2 remain as they are. Sacha Lenz in 5th place, cannot improve upon that time. And you can see all 5.3 tonnes of Teo Calvet's truck in the background stopped in the gravel before it even got anywhere close to the barrier. While of course he was on the brakes in these wet conditions, the brakes do very little when they've locked up, but he arrived in the gravel, I'm sure, doing just less than 100 miles an hour. And the gravel stopped the truck in a timely manner, in a safe manner as well. So it really does show off how safe these motorsport facilities are. And the truck, I'm sure, with very little damage, if any, it'll just need a wash down, of which the weather's doing that for him. And then a shovel just to get rid of all of the gravel that will be deposited in the underneath of that truck. But Norbert Kish, once again, on pole position. I think that's his 8th pole of the season. So, once again, nobody can throw anything at Norby to get him off that pedestal. Getting close, though, is Antonio Albacete, 900ths away. So we could see at the start of the race, if Albacete gets that good start, gets the jump over Norbert Kish, he will be the outside for turn 1. But if you can hang it around the outside at Fangio and Varzi, it will then evolve to the inside for Le Mans, and that is definitely a one-way affair, so they will have to sort that position out before they even arrive. So Albacete, for him, full focus will be on making sure that that start works for him. Adam Lachko will start on the second row of the grid with Jochen Hahn alongside. Adam Lachko, I was expecting better things from himself, 6/10 away, just under, from Norbert Kish. But we know Adam's supposed to be quick in the wet, just clearly not hooking it up in this session. The exposure on that camera is rather bright, to say the least. And then up the hill goes Norby, more than happy with pole position. And then all the trucks will return to the pit lane ahead of the second race, or the third race of the weekend, pardon me, the first race of today. And that will be round 19 of the championship. Of course, we are here for the 7th race meeting of the season. So in towards the pit lane goes Sacha Lenz, miles in front of the rest of the grid. Then it's Norbert Kish, Antonio Alberthetti, Adam Lachko, Jochen Hahn and Steffi Holm just behind in her number 44 Iveco. Teo Calvé's truck being retrieved from the turn 1 gravel trap. And this is how they finished in the Super Pole session and of course qualifying before. It's Norbert Kish on pole position with Antonio Alberthetti alongside. Second row of the grid is Adam Lachko and Jochen Hahn. Sacha Lenz has Steffi Holm for company on row 3. In 7th is Andre Kurzim, Teo Calvé being retrieved from the gravel, but in 8th place then it's Jose Rodriguez and Alia Koloc in 10th place, her highest qualifying in the FIA ETRC to date. And it's Anthony Chaniek, Shane Brereton, Jamie Anderson, Stefan Faas, René Reinhardt, Luke Garrett and Heinrich Clemens Hecker rounds out the grid in 17th place. So 17 trucks, all vying for position in towards turn 1 a little later on today. And in the wet conditions, it really is going in towards the unknown, so we've got lots to look forward to. Please don't tell me that the JARAMA recovery truck has got stuck in the gravel as well. No, it does get going once again. That would have been a sight to see. The recovery truck that's made to get through the gravel has got stuck in the gravel. But purpose-built machinery, by the looks of that, just gliding over the gravel it goes, leaving some quite sizable tyre tracks behind it. Teo Calvé has managed to get the truck deposited on the very exit of the gravel trap, so hopefully they will be able to get that truck from there back towards the paddock. He's got some grip out there. And it would be nice to speak to one of the Bagheera drivers. Obviously Lachko expected better, but starting P3 you can't really ask for much better than that. And of course Teo Calvé to figure out what managed to go wrong with that truck and how he found himself in the gravel. It would be nice to hear. And then of course Koloc as well for finishing in 10th place. It's a very good qualifying from Alia Koloc. There is Alia just working her way in towards the paddock. And yes, I am hearing that the recovery truck did indeed get stuck in the gravel, so they had to get a second recovery truck to come along and retrieve Teo. So once again, one of those things that you don't expect to see, but the gravel trap, it's only doing its job really, isn't it? Making sure that anything that arrives into it is stopped before it arrives at a barrier. It doesn't know whether it's the recovery truck coming along to pick Teo Calvé out of the gravel, but doing its job nonetheless. And as the rain continues to fall here in JARAMA, we've just got to wait and see as the day wears on. I will have a quick look to see how the forecast is showing, but we do have an interview down in the paddock, so down to you, Christina.
Yes, thank you very much. It's Jan Kalivoda, Head of Communication, Bagheera team. Congratulations. 3 drivers during fighting for the pole position and Super Pole. That's great.
Yeah, it's excellent. I think this is the best result of the season, to have all the trucks in the Super Pole. Especially I'm very happy for Alia because she's really trying hard and progressing throughout the season. She had a great season in the French Cup, and finally the result comes also in the European Drag Racing Championship, because the 10th position in the time practice is a really good result, and she's really proving the constant progress every race.
And we knew that Adam Lachko is a rain expert, but I mean, those young guns did very well under this special circumstance. Let's have a look, turn around, please. Here's Alia Koloc, for example. She's cheering. So, I mean, the conditions were very, very tough.
Yes, the conditions, the competitors are really close this year, and I think there are really 5 drivers who steal the points from each other, and it's really difficult to get in between these 5 drivers. So when Teo is climbing up and having a P6 in the Super Pole, it's really great result as well.
Yeah. And we hope that we can see race 1. I mean, the conditions, we hope that they will be stable as this. Are you hoping to get your drivers into the points?
We will deal with any condition that will come, so we will see.
Okay, thank you very much, Jan Kalivoda. So back to you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Down in Parc Ferme. I'm looking at the weather now, and it's supposed to be raining until around about 2 o'clock local time. And then from 3 o'clock, the sun will burn through the rain clouds, and it won't exactly show itself, but we should receive very little rain from there on forward. At the moment, 98% chance of rain, and it'll be 96, then 84, and then come 3 o'clock, it's down to 55. So hopefully we end up with some sunny and some dry running. But we do have an interview with the father of Ilija Koloc. Down to you, Christina, once again.
Yes, it's Martin Koloc trying to put his mask on. So due to COVID restrictions, we need to do this. Martin, congratulations. Your daughter made it very, very well under this, yes, heavy conditions. I mean, it's raining, but she's achieving right now her first Super Pole. How great is that?
Yeah, she's improving. Yesterday she didn't have a good day. Somehow mentally it didn't fit to her. But it looks like she's stabilized and she's performing well today. And she's used to drive the fast cars in the wet. So in track racing she likes it when it's raining.
That sounds good. What do you expect from the race?
Yeah, it will be tough. It will be tough, but I think she will have a lot to learn and to get new experiences. Because for her it's about learning and improving consistently for long run. It's not about the position in one race.
Yeah. And the truck was dancing around. Braking is very difficult under this condition. What do you suggest as father? Take a risk or drive a bit carefully? And what is more important, get the experience or finish?
Actually, I can't tell her much because she got her own mind and she's permanently calculating risk-reward ratio. And everything has to fit to her own parameters. So I can advise, but final decision is up to her really.
Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Martin Koloc.
So a very proud father indeed is Martin Koloc after Ilija's best qualifying of the season. And as the rain continues to fall in a couple of hours' time, hopefully it will start to dry out. I do believe that's the Spanish Truck Racing Championship taking to the circuit for what will be their third race of the weekend. But in regards to the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, that is all the action we have time for at the moment. Race 3 on the way just a little later on, and then of course we have race 4 on the way just after. And by the time it comes around to race 3, the rain should slowly start to fall away and dry running should be expected in towards the afternoon. But from myself, Jack Warrell, after qualifying 2 and Super Pole 2 from this weekend, we have the grid readied for race 3 of the weekend. Make sure you join us for that one once again back here, whether it be on YouTube or on social media or of course on the website as well. Thank you very much for watching along, and from JARAMA until race 3, bye bye.
Yeah, rüber. So we're here with Norbert Kisch leading pole position under, it's a completely different situation. And in truck racing, we don't have the special rain tires. So how did you manage this conditions?
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about it, that what should we do in the rain, but we did what we usually do, you know.
And what do you usually do?
Which is a secret, you know. So, yeah, obviously I don't give up setup information, but yeah, you have to change some things, you know, which can help you in the rain a little bit. And yeah, see what happens, because in the rain it's always unpredictable. And especially on a circuit like this where it's, I don't even remember the last time when we raced here in rain. Probably it was 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I think, when we had a qualifying in rain, but then for the race it's dried up. But we are looking at a wet race as well, because I think this will stay for the whole day, or that's what the prediction says. So we'll see, but yeah, it's good. It's not so bad actually. I mean, there are some circuits that are much harder to drive in the rain conditions, because the surface is like so smooth and the water stays much more on the circuit. But here the surface is so rough that actually the water is going away a little bit better, and I think this gives a little bit better grip in the rain. than what you would expect. So, good, not so bad. I liked it. It's always special to drive in the rain. It's always very difficult, always high risk, and there is a high chance of making a mistake. But yeah, we try to make it through.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good luck for race 1. Yeah, they renewed the asphalt a couple of years ago. Thank you very much. And thanks to Norbert Kirsch, we do see the schedule over here. If you might show the numbers up, the qualification we had. Let's have a look. At 12:50, race 3. At 15:05, race 4. And we surely do cover everything for you, ladies and gentlemen, of course. That was the qualification here in JARAMA, and we are happy to see you soon ahead of race 1. So, bye-bye.